This is Steve Anthony with another episode of The Deep Dive.
And this is Barbara Silver. You send us your work through Starseed Films, and we review it on this show. Click like and subscribe and help lead everyone to this content so we can plant seeds of higher consciousness.
Have you ever felt it? You know, that little whisper, maybe sometimes a bit louder, that there's, well, more to your existence than just the day-to-day. Like a sense of a deeper purpose, maybe.
Yeah.
Or some kind of cosmic connection that goes way beyond your immediate life. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into this really extraordinary collection of insights. They paint a pretty vivid picture of our spiritual nature and an incredible journey towards something these sources call ascension. It's a vision that, honestly, it really challenges our everyday understanding of who we think we are.
It really does. And what's so striking, I think, about the material we've gathered is how consistent it is. I mean, this isn't just one person's idea. We're drawing from some pretty powerful universal mind channelings. You know, names like Edgar Cayce, Djwhal, Khul, Ruth Montgomery, the Tibetan Foundation. And even though they come from different times, different people, these sources tell a remarkably similar, really profound story about where we came from and our potential.
Which is huge. Right. So our mission for this deep dive, then, is to try to unpack these layers of our spiritual identity. Maybe understand the forces, the cosmic forces that shaped our current reality, and also discover some tools, ancient and modern, for speeding up our own evolution, personally and, collectively, towards what these sources see as a golden age.
Okay, so let's really lean into this. Let's try and imagine the very beginning. One infinite source of pure light called simply God. And in his joy and love, God wanted to create, right, to express himself, extend that love.
Exactly. And from that single state, everything came into being: suns, moons, galaxies, universes, everything we can possibly imagine.
Right.
But according to these sources, something was still missing: companionship, a connection from within the creation. So from this divine infinity came trillions, literally trillions, of individual sparks of light, each one made in God's image. And that was us, originally described as androgynous souls. And we had this incredible gift: free choice.
Yeah. We are perfect, living in what they call an Edenic state, just exploring the universe with our minds, creating, extending God's kingdom. No physical limits at all. Just pure consciousness, essentially.
Pure, unrestricted consciousness. Okay, so here's where it gets, really interesting, right? As we were traveling, exploring this infinite universe, these sources say we found the physical, the material universe. And we got deeply intrigued.
Curious.
Yeah, curious. So we started projecting parts of ourselves into matter, trying out what it felt like to be, say, a tree or a rock or even an animal, but always returning to the spiritual planes afterwards. And this was fine, right? Just exploration.
Right.
Until the fall of man.
Right. And that fall, it's important to understand, wasn't like a punishment, not in the way we usually think of it. These insights describe it more as an over-identification with the material universe. Cool. We sort of gradually forgot who we really were, our true spiritual identity. We mistakenly started believing we were the physical forms we were just temporarily inhabiting.
Ah, I see.
And this kicked off what they call a downward spiral of creation. It also gave rise to the ego, which is described here as a thought system based entirely on this illusionary belief in separation, fear, selfishness, and death. A big shift from unity to feeling separate.
That's a profound shift. And the consequences sound pretty dramatic. I mean, the sources even mention this leading to a conglomeration of monstrosities, like cyclops, satyrs, animal bodies with human heads. That sounds intense.
It does. It paints a picture of consciousness getting really entangled, seeking to satisfy what they call out-of-control desire within these dense physical forms. It sounds like things got pretty chaotic, spiritually speaking.
Yeah, really chaotic and kind of lost. So how did we even start to find a path back from that entanglement? Was there a plan?
Well, that's exactly where, according to these sources, a divine intervention was needed. To start sorting out this complex situation, God and the God Force set up a plan, a pretty big one. It involved creating 5 physical human races here on Earth, each one uniquely suited to different climates. The idea was to provide more perfectly fitted human bodies for all those souls who were caught up in matter.
Like a specific vessel for this experience.
Exactly. And this kicked off the whole system of reincarnation, giving souls the chance to wake up again, to remember their true identity as God beings, and begin their climb, their ascent back to the Creator. It was like a fresh start, a new pathway opening up.
Okay, so that's the grand cosmic story. How does this connect to me, listening right now? How does it relate to our personal experience today?
Right, great question. Because these sources lay out a really clear hierarchy of your spiritual constitution, they explain that you're actually far more multidimensional than you probably realize.
Yeah.
So at the very top, like way beyond even your soul, is your monad. You can think of your monad as an individual spark of the divine, a direct, pure extension of God.
Wow.
Then each monad created 12 souls. These are also called the higher self or the superconscious mind. And they were created to experience a slightly denser form of reality.
12 souls from each monad.
And then each of those souls, wanting an even denser experience, created 12 personalities or soul extensions. And you, listening right now, you are one of those personalities currently incarnated here on Earth.
So, wait. If I'm one of 12 personalities from my soul, what does that actually mean for me? For my connections?
Well, it means you're part of a larger soul family, you could say. 11 other soul extensions connected to your same soul. Now, these others could also be incarnated here on Earth right now, or maybe on other planets, or maybe they're currently on the spiritual planes, not in physical bodies. And if you zoom out even further, you also have an extended monadic family that's 144 soul extensions in total, all stemming from your original monad. It's this vast, interconnected cosmic lineage.
144. That's
Wow.
quite a family reunion.
It really is. And what's particularly fascinating, one detail from the sources, is this concept of monadic mates. For example, the author of one text we looked at discovered that he and his wife were the only two soul extensions from their specific monad currently incarnated on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that suggests this incredibly deep, unique connection. Even deeper, perhaps, than what people call twin souls, who, according to these sources, actually come from the same soul, not necessarily the same monad. It adds another layer to understanding spiritual connections.
That's a really profound thought. Okay, so why is understanding this whole structure, monad, soul, personality, why is that important for us right now in our daily lives?
Well, these insights suggest that your soul, which acts as your guide, starts to focus its energy more on the soul extensions that are becoming spiritually active. It channels resources towards their evolution. It might even sort of call back or withdraw energy from the ones that are less active or stuck.
Okay, so my effort counts for more than just me.
Exactly. What this really implies for you is that your personal growth, your spiritual work, it isn't just for your own benefit. It's a vital, conscious contribution to the evolution of your entire soul group and ultimately your monad. It fundamentally changes how you might see your challenges or even your successes. Your awakening helps the whole family wake up.
That definitely puts a different spin on things. So, okay, if we've had this fall into matter, how do we consciously reverse that? How do we reawaken? These sources talk about a path, right, involving initiations.
That's right. It's a path of progressive, conscious steps in spiritual development that you undertake. It's not automatic. It's something you choose to engage with.
And where does it start?
It all begins with what they call the path of probation. Think of it as a deliberate period of intense character building. During this time, you consciously cultivate positive qualities, patience, compassion, truthfulness, things like that. You work diligently to bring your personality, your lower self, under control. Basically, you're preparing your subtle energy bodies to safely receive and handle higher spiritual energies. It's foundational work, like getting your spiritual house in order before the major renovations begin.
Yeah, the house in order, I like that. And these initiations themselves, they're about mastering different levels of our being, aren't they? So after that prep work, what's the first initiation about?
The first initiation focuses squarely on physical mastery. It's about overcoming those uncontrolled physical impulses and desires. What the sources refer to as Maya, the illusion that our physical urges, or even just our physical appearance, define who we really are. It's about realizing you are not just your body.
Okay, mastering the physical.
Yeah.
Then what?
The second initiation moves up a level. It focuses on astral or emotional mastery. This is about learning to see through and dissipate glamour.
Glamour.
Yeah, glamour refers to those powerful emotional delusions that pull us into drama, unhealthy attachments, or illusions about relationships and situations. It's about achieving emotional clarity and stability, not being tossed around by every feeling.
Right, okay. Physical, then emotional. What's third?
Third is mental mastery. This is about overcoming illusion, which here means the mental delusions, the rigid beliefs, the limiting thought patterns that keep us trapped. And this stage, the third initiation, is a really pivotal point. Your personality actually begins to merge consciously with your soul. You start to genuinely see yourself as a soul, not just as a physical person having spiritual ideas. It's a fundamental reorientation of your identity.
That sounds like a massive shift, a
Yeah.
complete change in perspective.
It truly is. And then comes the fourth initiation, which is described as a really transformative step, a major, major turning point. This leads to what they call liberation from the wheel of rebirth, freedom from the cycle of reincarnation.
Wow.
Well, they say your causal body, which is often called your soul body, is essentially burned up, not destroyed, but transmuted into pure energy. Its purpose is fulfilled. And your soul then merges back fully into the monad. From that point on, the monad becomes your direct guide, your source of direction.
The monad itself.
Yes. And what's profoundly interesting here is how these sources connect this experience to something very specific. They suggest that Jesus' cry on the cross, "Father, why hast thou forsaken me?" actually relates to this very moment, the temporary feeling of the soul merging back, maybe a sense of being alone, just before that grander reunification with the monad.
That's an incredible interpretation.
Yeah.
And is that the end of the path?
Liberation? Not necessarily the final step described. For those who continue, the sixth initiation is referred to as ascension or resurrection. At this stage, your monad fully inhabits and integrates with your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies. It transforms them into light.
Transforms them into light.
Yes, and this can even lead to what's described as physical immortality. The sources mention figures like Hermes Thoth, said to have lived over 2,000 years, and Saint Germain, maybe 350 years, potentially in the same physical body. It represents a complete mastery over the material form itself.
Physical immortality. Okay, that's mind-blowing. So for this whole journey, these initiations, is there like a tool, something to help us?
Absolutely. A crucial tool that these sources emphasize again and again is the Antakarana, sometimes called the rainbow bridge.
A rainbow bridge.
Yeah, and it's not just a nice metaphor. It's described as an actual cord of light, an energy structure that you consciously build. It connects your personality, your everyday consciousness, up to your soul, and then eventually all the way up to your monad.
You build it consciously.
Well, it's metaphorically described as laying a cable or bridge between three great countries: the personality, the soul, and the monad. The purpose is to facilitate a clear, strong flow of spiritual energy and realization downwards, and your consciousness upwards. You're literally building a highway for your own higher awareness.
A highway for consciousness. I love that. Okay, so if we're building it, are there like instructions?
Yeah.
Practical things we can do?
Yes, definitely. And this is where it gets very practical. The sources provide tangible, actually quite simple practices for building this bridge and refining your energy system. For instance, you can consciously chant the soul mantra.
Okay.
It goes, "I am the soul, I am the light divine, I am love, I am will, I am fixed design."
Chanting this is said to activate these higher aspects within you.
I am the soul, I am the light divine, I am love, I am will, I am fixed design. Okay.
And for those who reach the fourth initiation and beyond, there's a monadic mantra. You just change the word soul to monad. It's about consciously invoking and aligning with these higher parts of yourself. So it's not just abstract theory. It's like a spiritual toolkit, a cosmic gym membership for our consciousness. What else is in there?
Right. Beyond chanting, there are specific meditations mentioned. There's the triangulation meditation, which is designed to clear your central energy channel, the Sushumna Nadi in yogic terms, and begin constructing that Antakarana bridge.
Okay.
Then, to clear out stagnant energy, old patterns, what they call psychic debris, from your aura, your energy field, you can use the spiritual whirlwind meditation.
Spiritual whirlwind.
Got it. And finally, there's the corkscrew meditation. This one is specifically designed to widen that central channel, allowing more light, more energy, more consciousness from your soul, and eventually your monad to flow down into your everyday awareness in your physical body. These are very practical step-by-step methods offered.
That's really helpful. Practical tools are always good. Now, what's really intriguing here, you mentioned this earlier, this isn't just about my personal journey, right? These sources talk about the specific time we're living in.
Exactly. That's a huge piece of this. These sources highlight that we are living through a truly unique and historic period here on Earth. There's a high-level spiritual teacher referenced, Vawamas, said to be the higher self of Sanat Kumar, who actually prophesied a spiritual harvesting, or you could call it a mass ascension.
A mass ascension.
Yes, occurring within roughly a 100-year window, but with a specific culmination point predicted between 1995 and 2000. Now, obviously, dates can be tricky, but the point is, This period aligns with the completion of several major cosmic cycles, 2,000 years, 6,000, 12,000, even 36,000 year cycles, all kind of converging around now. It feels like a bottleneck or maybe an acceleration point for humanity's evolution.
Wow, all those cycles ending. So what does that mean for us? What marks this period?
Well, this period is said to be marked by something called the externalization of the hierarchy, which basically means a greater presence, maybe even physical manifestation, of highly advanced spiritual masters here on Earth working more openly. These sources connect this to the idea of the reappearance of the Christ, specifically referring to Lord Maitreya, the spiritual being who is said to have overshadowed Jesus during his mission 2,000 years ago. It also includes, according to these texts, the anchoring of the cosmic Christ, identified as Sai Baba, in India during that time frame.
Okay, that's quite specific.
It is. And even more significantly, perhaps, is the availability of the Mahatma energy, also called the avatar of synthesis. This is described as a cosmic being whose energy became much more accessible after the harmonic convergence in 1987. This energy is said to accelerate the ascension process by potentially 1,000-fold. It allows you, if you tune into it, to build that Antakarana bridge all the way to the ultimate source, to God itself. This is framed as a special dispensation, a unique window of opportunity in Earth's spiritual history.
A thousand-fold acceleration, a special dispensation. So the ultimate goal of all this unique time, these energies, it's...
The ultimate goal seems to be nothing less than a quantum leap in consciousness for humanity. A mass awakening, really, to the deep interconnectedness of all life. It's about a fundamental shift, moving from fear as the dominant motivator to love, moving from being self-centered to being God-centered. This is what leads to the potential for a new golden age, a time when humanity collectively wakes up from what these sources call the spell of matter. It's a future where we finally, collectively, remember who we truly are.
Waking up from the spell of matter. And connecting this back to the bigger picture, you mentioned something really profound earlier about different religious figures.
Yes. The universality of this whole spiritual journey, it's really underscored by a fascinating revelation in these texts, that many of the great beings that we know from different world religions, like Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, maybe others, are actually, according to these sources, the same souls incarnating across different times and cultures.
The same souls.
Yes. Teaching the same core truths, just adapted for the time and place. For instance, one source identifies Jesus as having had past lives as Melchizedek, who was Abraham's spiritual teacher, effectively founding Judaism, and also as Zend, who influenced Zoroaster, who some link to Buddha's lineage. There are connections made even to Muhammad's influences.
Wow, that connects everything.
It really does. It suggests that fundamentally all major religions spring from the same divine source. It's like a continuous, evolving thread of divine guidance woven through human history.
Okay. This whole understanding our multidimensional self, the monad, the soul, the initiations, these cosmic cycles we're in right now, it definitely raises a big question, doesn't it, for you listening? In a world that these sources describe as having such accelerating spiritual potential, what conscious choices are you going to make? How will you participate in this potential quantum leap and help bring about this emerging golden age consciousness?
That's really the core question, isn't it? And these sources offer some pretty direct guidance on that. They encourage embracing practices like the constant repetition of God's name or sacred mantras, consciously choosing forgiveness over and over, working deliberately to master your physical, emotional, and mental bodies like we discussed with the initiations, and really reclaiming your personal power, your sovereignty. But maybe most importantly, they emphasize making spiritual vows and commitments and sticking to them. It really comes down to conscious, consistent dedication to your chosen spiritual path, showing up for your own evolution.
Conscious, consistent dedication.
Yeah.
So maybe here's a final provocative thought for everyone to ponder as they continue their own journey. What if?
Yeah.
What if you were to redefine your ego, not see it as this enemy that you have to fight or destroy, but maybe see it as the material plane expert, a part of you that's perfectly designed, really, just to maintain your physical well-being, navigate this dense world.
Interesting twist.
Yeah. And what if you then consciously allowed your soul, your spirit, your higher self to handle the interpretation of everything else in your reality? What if you started tapping into that other, supposedly 90% of our brain's potential that these sources link to instantaneous, lightning-like information processing from those higher levels? How would your life, and maybe even the world around you, transform if you consistently, consciously allowed your higher spiritual self to take the lead?
That's a powerful question to sit with, really powerful.
The Reunited States of America, Restoring America's Mystical Destiny After Polarization by Michael Perlin.